Hello again, my wine friends. Welcome to our channel Uncorked. My name is Roland Zimmerman, and here today I'm going to talk about Ontario Cab Franc wine. Sit back, here it goes. Some of the questions we frequently get with our customers when we speak with them about Cab Franc is, why do we grow it? How does it grow? And what does it pair well with? So to answer the first of those is why we grow it. Well, actually, because of the growing conditions in Ontario, which are a little bit cooler than other parts of the world, Cab Franc is well suited to our climate. And this is because Cab Franc originated in the northern part of France in the Loire Valley area. Of course, nowadays Cab Franc is a very ubiquitous variety. It's planted in very large quantities all across the world, not just in Ontario or even in France, as it still is to this day. But getting back to why we grow it, well, Cab Franc is one of those late ripening reds that really performs exceptionally well in our climate. The hot summers we have in Ontario help to really get the grapes up to the sugar levels we want them to, but also to bring in the color that people expect from a red wine. So again, Cab Franc has that unique characteristic which makes it well suited for Ontario. In addition, Cab Franc, because it is a northern, more traditionally grown variety, is also more tolerant to cold. Now, you might ask why that's important. Well, for those of you that live in Ontario, you know that sometimes our winters get pretty significantly cold, down to -10, -12. A lot of other Vitis vinifera varieties, or European grape varieties, are very sensitive to temperatures below 0 degrees. And what that means is that the vine itself is actually damaged, or the buds are frozen when the temperatures drop below a certain level. Cab Franc's tolerance, however, is quite a bit lower than, say, -10. In fact, it's tolerant down to about -19, -20 before there is any significant damage to the following year's crop. So that's really a big motivation for growing this particular variety in Ontario. But I also have to add that it does make really exciting red wines. The climate, again, in Ontario really brings out the lovely berry flavors that Cab Franc has, and it really brings in the color because of our growing over the summer conditions. They help to really ripen up the grapes. This is important because we can grow the Cab Franc much later into the season. So usually the grapes are harvested around the end of October or beginning of November in order to achieve optimal ripeness. So, how do we grow it? Well, like any other variety, you have to commit to regular pruning. You have to commit to regular bunch management. That's quite technical in terms of the actual vineyard management. But one of the other key things about growing Cab Franc in Ontario is the fact that it is a versatile grape in terms of where you put it. What I mean by that is certain varieties are very sensitive to where their feet or their roots are located, whereas Cab Franc is far more accepting of less fertile or more fertile soils. It doesn't really care too much in terms of the crop that it produces if it's planted in a very poor soil location versus a very good soil location. Now, of course, there are degrees of differences, but you can still make a decent Cab Franc on a soil that might be considered very poor for another variety such as Pinot Noir. And I have to also tell you that one of the great reasons for growing Cab Franc in Ontario is for the production of ice wine. Canada is one of the world's largest producers of ice wine, and Cab Franc is one of the red varieties that consistently performs well when made into an ice wine. So it's extremely versatile in terms of what one can do with it. We, in our own vineyards at Kings Court here, make rosé with it, we make red wine with it, and of course, yes, we also make ice wine with it. The other great thing about Cab Franc is the fact that it ages. Now, what I mean by this, if you look back on some of my earlier videos, we covered a little bit about on how to age wines. And Cab Franc is one of those varieties that is well suited to longer aging periods because it is such a wonderful red that can be really, really powerful. It does age for decades. We've done experiments ourselves and we've aged it in some cases up to about 25 years and still enjoyed the wine after opening it. Now, probably the most important question that everybody wants answered is, what does Cab Franc pair with? Well, personally, my favorite dish to pair Cab Franc with is a roast beef. And I have to tell you, the roast beef's got to be just right. It's got to be about medium rare. And the Cab Franc, it just blends so well. It pairs so well. It's like a match made in heaven. There are other dishes that I personally have used with Cab Franc, such as beef stroganoff, or even, believe it or not, hamburgers work quite well, provided they're 100% beef. Sorry, Beyond Beef people, we don't know you yet. But the Cab Franc seems to work quite well with those particular foods. There are some other more adventurous pairings with Cab Franc, and I have tried them. I'm personally not a fan, but when it comes to, say, for example, Cabernet Franc Icewine pairing, dark chocolate is, it is the best thing to pair Cab Franc with. Icewine, sorry. And of course, there's, one must not forget the Cab Franc Rosé. That's our princess. And that I love pairing with things like short ribs in the summer over the barbecue. Just the flavors of the rosé really liven up the flavor of the ribs and the foods in general, like potato salad. It's just phenomenal. I hope you learned a little bit about Cab Franc today. Thank you very much for listening. Please subscribe below, give us a couple likes, and we look forward to your comments and your feedback. Thank you very much. We'll see you again soon.